Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here. In today's video, we'll be diving into 10 must-buy indie RPGs that definitely deserve a spot in your collection. Whether you love retro-inspired adventures, deep storytelling, or unique gameplay twists that rival many AAA titles, these indie RPGs prove you don't need a massive budget to make an amazing experience. So let's dive in and check them out. Now, the first game on our list is Sea of Stars. Now, this game feels like a new take on the classic RPG formula from Chrono Trigger that blends a great story with classic turn-based combat, but also adds in some timed attack elements that keep the combat fresh and addictive. On top of that, it has several quality of life improvements compared to other retro RPGs that make it feel like a modern release, but still carries that retro charm. The pixel art is absolutely gorgeous, and the soundtrack was even created by the same legend behind Chrono Trigger, and it really brings the game to life. Now, the story follows two young Solstice warriors who go on a quest to fight powerful monsters called Dwellers, and they'll go on a journey to defeat the immortal alchemist that created them and to save the world from pending destruction. The dungeons have some light puzzle elements as well as several hidden secrets along the way, making it feel a bit more exciting than maybe some classic RPGs in a similar genre. Now, like I mentioned, combat is extremely fun and it really hooked me on the game. It's a hybrid of both turn-based combat, but mixed with timed attacks and defenses that help keep you engaged. So you'll need to time your hits and blocks correctly to maximize damage or to protect yourself from incoming attacks. It really has a Super Mario RPG feel, where you can't just zone out in every battle, and it feels like every fight matters. Plus, you have a variety of different Solstice warrior types that you can choose from to fill your party with, and their abilities will focus on various element types that can be used to target enemy weaknesses and even break enemies if you perform enough hits of a certain type in a row. This makes combat very strategic, and I think if you're a fan of games like Chrono Trigger, Golden Sun, or the Final Fantasy series, Sea of Stars is an absolute must-buy. The next game is CrossCode. Now, CrossCode is one of those great indie RPGs that stayed as a hidden gem for a long time, but I think has become a little bit more mainstream at this point, as great word of mouth really pushed this game to the forefront. And I went into this game expecting a bit more of a retro throwback, but it ended up being one of the best RPGs I've played in recent years. Now, I think the story and premise of the game really stood out to me and felt a bit like Sword Art Online, where you'll be playing as a character that's trapped in an MMORPG, and I really like the way that it combined both you playing the game itself as well as the game and story taking place inside of the MMORPG. And I think they did a good job of balancing that, and it really pulls you into the game. The combat is fast-paced and mixes both melee attacks and ranged attacks, and adds in some puzzle solving elements as well. And so you'll be constantly switching between fighting enemies and figuring out how to manipulate your environment with different projectile balls that you can use to bounce off walls, to activate things like switches, and much more. I think it felt a little bit like a retro Zelda title, but with a much more modern feel. Now, the puzzles can get pretty tough, but at the same time, they're also really rewarding. And I think as you're playing through the game, you'll definitely want to have a guide handy for some of the more challenging puzzles, as some of them get pretty intricate and it can get pretty frustrating without a couple tips along the way. I also like how the game really challenges you to think creatively during the boss fights and utilize all of your powers at your disposal. The world itself is pretty massive, and there's a robust main storyline, lots of side quests, a ton of hidden areas, and plenty of secrets to find along the way. Not only that, there's a massive skill tree you can unlock throughout the game, which is a lot of fun as you continue to expand and learn new powers as you progress throughout the story. I will say that some of the later dungeons can feel a bit long, but the story and gameplay totally make up for that. And I think if you like retro-inspired RPGs with fast combat and deep puzzle mechanics, CrossCode is an absolute steal and definitely worth picking up as well. The next game on our list is Star Renegades. So Star Renegades is a roguelike turn-based RPG. So you take charge of a ragtag bunch of rebels fighting for the survival of the dimension. So in this game, you take on the Imperium, which is an out-of-control AI enemy that leads a bunch of robots in the goal of taking over the universe. And so in this game, you start off with a base set of characters that you can choose from to build your rebel group. So as you do this, once you've selected your team, you're going to jump onto a planet to start fighting the Imperium. And so you'll be put on a map where you can choose from various different branching paths. And while doing so, you're going to find things like power-ups, so DNA to enhance your characters and level them up, loot crates where you can find different equipment, or various enemy bosses that you need to fight to get to the next area. And so your little robot helper friend can actually unlock 3 areas at a time, and then once you've done that, you need to rest and camp for the night. Another cool thing is that when you camp, you can actually build relationships with your party. And so you'll be able to restore your health, build up armor, improve attacks. But as these relationships build and develop, your characters will get stronger. And so that's another really cool thing that I liked about the game, to be able to continue to enhance and build your characters as you play through and unlock more of the storyline as well. Now, as you progress, you're going to unlock points that you can eventually spend to level up your characters in a sense, where you can start with a different stat boost to whatever classes you might be using. You can unlock new characters, you can unlock weapons that will either start on your characters or that will be much more likely to drop in your run-throughs, allowing you to get further. And you can also power up your little robot helper, which helps improve different aspects like repairing your armor on run-throughs and more. Now, one thing that I also really enjoyed about the game is the battle system. And so as you play, you're given a timeline of both you and the enemies, and depending on what actions and choices you take, you might be able to push them back further along on the timeline, as your attacks might delay them. You could even get them to the point of breaking, where they don't even get a turn that round. But monsters are only able to be pushed back so much. And so that plays a strategic role for you as well. And then each character that you're playing with has their own unique skills and abilities, and you all need to work together in order to defeat the enemies. But overall, I think the game has a great replay value because there are so many different characters that you can unlock, where each run through is different to some extent as you play. But again, if you build a totally different team every time you go through, you'll have a new experience as you play. And so I definitely think you can sink a lot of hours into this game if you like turn-based RPGs, you like that strategy element, and the roguelike aspects as well. The next game is Chained Echoes. And Chained Echoes is one of the best indie RPGs I've played in a long time. It's basically a love letter to the golden age of JRPGs, and takes plenty of inspiration from great classics like Chrono Trigger and the Final Fantasy series, but also combines that with some more modern game mechanics and eliminates some of the frustrations from those early classic titles. Now, the story follows a large cast of characters in a war-torn fantasy world, and your heroes will set out on a quest to save the world. And the good news is that while it sounds like your standard fantasy RPG story framework, there are a lot of twists and turns that keep you guessing and wanting to progress through the story. Plus, unlike a lot of older RPGs, Chained Echoes doesn't waste your time with endless grinding and constant random battles. Every encounter feels handcrafted and meaningful, and the overdrive combat system is pretty complex, but a lot of fun at the same time. And I think it really forces you to think strategically, where you'll need to balance attacks and skills to stay in the optimal combat zone. The pixel art style and soundtrack also really bring this world to life and add yet another layer of great depth to the game. I think if you love classic RPGs but want one that respects your time and that also has a bit of a modern feel while also maintaining that retro charm, Chained Echoes is definitely a must-play. The next game on the list is Knights of Pen and Paper. And so this is a really cool retro-inspired turn-based RPG, and the game itself is playing as a bunch of players playing a D&D-like campaign. And so this leads to some really fun character creation ideas throughout the game, and you'll be able to play as different things like paladins, mages, rogues, and much more. But on top of that, you'll also need to choose what type of character your character is. So are you the nerd? Are you the jock? Are you the pizza delivery guy? And a lot more options as well. So this makes things things even more fun. And so you'll have a crazy adventure in the pen and paper world. It's like a fantasy-based D&D adventure. But then on top of that, it also weaves into the real world. So there's a lot of different crazy twists and turns along the way as well. And so the game definitely gets really strategic because you'll have different ability points as you level up that you can put into different spells and abilities that your characters have. But on top of that, beyond just leveling up your characters and getting better items in the pen and paper world, you'll also be able to upgrade and level up and improve your real world game room. And so this is definitely a lot of fun as well, where you'll be upgrading things like your game table, the dice that you have, you'll add additional snacks that you have on hand. You can buy different magazines and player's guides, enhancing your abilities in the game world as well. And so this is fun too, where you can improve yourselves both in the game and outside in the real world, giving you a ton of different options on how you want to customize and build out your team. It has a funny, quirky sense of humor that ties into a lot of different nerd and gaming Easter eggs throughout the game, which I definitely enjoyed as well. But if you like classic inspired turn-based RPGs, this is definitely one worth picking up. The next game on today's list is Cat Quest 2. And so Cat Quest 2 is a lighthearted action RPG where you play as a couple of heroes, one from the Cat Kingdom and one from the Dog Kingdom, to stop the never-ending war between the two kingdoms. And so overall, the game isn't too terribly difficult. It's pretty accessible for fans of RPGs for all ages. I know my young nephew really likes it, but it's still a ton of fun as an adult as well. But one of the key elements that make the game a ton of fun is the fact that you can play both solo mode or in local co-op. And so throughout the game, you'll control both the cat hero and the dog hero. And if you're in single player mode, you can switch between either of them whenever you want. And each one can have a full inventory of equipment, abilities, and items at your disposal. And so as a single player, it's really cool because you can make each one of the heroes a totally different build. There's tons of different weapons to choose from, so some of them are ranged, others are more melee based, others are more magic based, and there's a lot of different equipment that you can equip as well. So some are very strong and have really high defense, while others are more lighter, but give you more maneuverability and agility for your character, and others maybe power up your magic spells if you're going for more of a magic user build. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility in that aspect on how you want to build your characters, and also the fact that you can switch between each one of the heroes whenever you want. It can really add a lot of strategy to the game as well. The storyline is really funny and quirky and over the top. There's a ton of different cat puns and dog puns, which I definitely loved as well. There's a lot of different side quests to the game, as well as a pretty lengthy main story. As I mentioned, it's fun for the whole family, and if you're looking for a more lighthearted action RPG with a great story that's a ton of fun, I definitely recommend it. Alright, so the next game on today's list is Write and Down. And so Write and Down is a simplistic dungeon crawler with some roguelike elements mixed with a puzzle game all in one. And so there's not really a ton of story to this game, so you pretty much just jump right in as a warrior going through a dungeon. And the real unique concept of this game is that your only two options is to go either right or down. And so it's a square-based grid for the dungeon, and you'll see that filled with enemies, gold, potions, treasures, and much more. And again, your goal is to get through the dungeon, but your only options are to go either right or down. And so that's where the puzzle element kind of comes into play, because you'll only have so much health, so much armor, and as you progress and attack enemies, they'll basically hurt your character based on whatever number they are. And so you'll need to plan your route strategically through the dungeon by going again either right or down, picking up gold, items, and potions, and taking out enemies along the way. Another neat element too is that your character will have a unique ability and future abilities you can unlock along the way, but those are activated based on the movements that you take. So for example, you might go down once and right 3 times, and that unlocks your character's ability. And so it's a cool concept, and there's a bunch of different area types you can go through, each with their own variety of enemies. So some of them might deal poison damage to your character, others might inflict burns on your character, really hindering your progress. Eventually you'll reach camps throughout the stages where you can power up your character, kind of recover a bit, learn a new ability, and continue on to the next dungeon. And you'll also be able to unlock additional character types as you progress through the game as well. And so again, that can definitely add some additional variety to the game as you play with other character types. The game may seem pretty simplistic, but it can definitely get really addicting as you progress through the game and really get the hang of it. And so if you're looking for a new dungeon crawler meets puzzle game meets RPG, I think you'll enjoy this game as well. The next game on our list is Wargroove. Now, if you're a fan of tactical RPGs and ever played or seen the Advance Wars series, Wargroove has a very similar feel and is definitely a must-own on the Switch as well. It's basically a spiritual successor to Advanced Wars, but has more of a fantasy feel rather than tanks and military vibe. It features a great pixel art style and has a ton of replay value. And throughout the game, you'll command different factions in a war for control of the kingdom, where each side has unique units and groove abilities that help you turn the tide of battle. Now, I love how balanced and strategic combat feels, where you'll really need to think ahead several steps in advance on things like your unit positioning, different terrain advantages, and even resource management if you hope to survive each encounter. Not only does it have a solid story campaign, but it also comes with a map editor and campaign creator where you can design your own missions, play user-made content, and even challenge friends locally or online. It's basically endless content if you're into strategy RPGs, which is really cool. The art style is colorful and definitely brings the characters to life. Some missions can certainly get tough, but when you finally win after carefully planning every move, it's super satisfying. I definitely think this game is worth picking up for fans of tactical RPGs or strategy games. And if you haven't played Wargroove yet, I recommend checking it out. The next game is Crosstales. And so Crosstales is a tactical RPG that's very similar to classics like the Final Fantasy Tactics series. And in this game, you'll play as two different factions, basically a dog-based kingdom and a cat-based kingdom that have been at war for a long time. And you can join either side at the start of the game and see the full story from each perspective. And so I think that adds some replay value to the game because you'll likely want to play through in the other character once you beat it the first time to experience the full story. Now, where this game really shines though is its tactical combat and level up system. And so again, it is that grid-based combat, but it does also include the additional strategy of needing to plan where you're attacking enemies. So it's not just what attacks you use, you have to consider things like the angles you're attacking people from, the height you're attacking people from, and much more. And so there's that added level of strategy, which I really like, but also building your characters up is a lot of fun as well. And so you have a bunch of different job classes that you can choose from for your characters, and over time you'll be able to learn abilities through a skill tree and then equip them to your character to really mix and match your skills to best suit your play style and the challenging missions ahead. And so some of the abilities you learn will be more active abilities you can use in combat, others are more passive abilities. And so again, you can really build up your character to your liking. But on top of that, as you level up these job classes and master certain job classes, you'll be able to unlock more advanced job classes for your characters as well. And so again, this is really cool to be able to do that. It really reminded me of these classic tactical RPGs. And so I think if you like tactical RPGs such as Final Fantasy Tactics, Crosstales is a must play as well. The next game on our list is Moonlighter. So in this game, you play as a merchant in a village of merchants that's kind of on the down and outs. And so you are playing as this merchant who is building up his shop in attempts to gain notoriety, but also help restore the village to its once former glory. And so by day, you manage your shop, and by night, you dungeon dive into dungeons that are sitting outside of the city. And so as you progress, you'll go through these different dungeons and collect treasures that you'll bring back and sell in your shop the next day. And so it's really cool and a lot of fun. It's one of the most addicting RPGs, and it's one of my favorites as well. And so as you progress, you'll get better equipment. You'll be able to actually level up and improve your shop as well. So you can hold more items for sale. You can decorate your store to get additional benefits, and you can even hire an assistant that can help manage the day-to-day operations of your shop, which can allow you to dungeon dive both at night and in the day. And so I really like this game in the sense that when you are managing your shop, you can actually alter and adjust the prices and decide what you have on sale in the moment. So you'll have customers that walk around and check out your goods and items, and they'll kind of give either happy faces or frown faces. indicating that they want to buy the goods that you're selling at the price you're offering. And depending on how positive a reaction they have, it can let you know if you're on the right track for pricing, or you're doing too much, or you're in that sweet spot. And so again, like I said, as you get more money, you can use this to better your equipment, upgrade your shop, and more. And it is a roguelike RPG as well that plays a lot like The Legend of Zelda. And so as you progress and get better items, you can get further, and then there's boss fights within each dungeon as well. So this is definitely a super fun game and definitely worth picking up. Well, again, that wraps up our list of 10 great indie RPGs that are just as good, if not better, than many AAA RPG titles. But with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you played any of these games before? Are you going to pick any of them up now that you've heard about them? Are there other great indie RPGs I should check out as well? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. And another cool way you can help support the channel is we actually partner with a company, RecRoomWorld.com, that makes virtual pinball machines and more. And so if you'd like to check out the ultimate virtual pinball experience, I would definitely recommend checking out their Ultra VP virtual pinball machine. I have one myself. I play it all the time, and it's been a blast. And they were actually willing to give our viewers a special discount on ordering one of these units. And so if you'd like to learn more about one of these or order a unit, you can actually head to nerdproblemsgaming.com/virtual pinball machine to learn more. And if you'd like to order one and get a special discount of $100 off, simply use Nerd Problems Gaming in the referred by section on the checkout page, and you'll get $100 off your order and help support our channel at the same time. So again, if you did want to take advantage of that and check out these awesome virtual pinball machines, simply head there as well. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.